What's up, y'all? It's your boy Tevin Jameer back at it again with another episode of the Hate It or Love It podcast. And as you guys can see in the title, today I will be ranking all the 2024 films that I've seen. So whether they were in theaters, streaming, TV, just as long as it's a 2024 film. And I know some films has like a very small release, but if they got like a wide theatrical release in 2024, then that still counts. Basically, I use Letterboxd to every time I seen a new movie, I always use Letterboxd to like review and then rank the movie. So I have the list on there. If you don't want to watch the whole episode, but you want to know my ranking, just go to my Letterboxd. I'll try to link it down below in the episode. But basically, every time I seen a new movie, I would rank it, I would review it, and yeah, so this video is basically me just going through my Letterboxd and just, telling y'all what it is, where I rank a lot of the movies that I've seen this year. And yeah, just pretty much that simple. So before I get into it, I just want to talk about my ranking system. If you see my episode for last year's films, then you already know how my ranking system goes. But I feel like I need to clarify it because when I talk to people about how I rank stuff, people find it very weird. So here's my ranking system. A 0 to 1.5 is basically a horrible movie with little to nothing that I enjoyed. A 2 to 2.5 has some aspects that I can appreciate, but still wouldn't even consider the movie okay. 3 to 3.5, basically mixed, but leaning more on whether liking or not liking. Enjoyable enough, but won't rush to watch the movie again. 4 solid movies I would watch again, and I had a great time with them. And then 4.5 to 5, best of the year and films I can see myself watching that stands the test of time. And some of them will probably become classics or, damn near perfect films. So yeah, pretty much that's how I do it. Like I said, I know my ranking is very weird compared to other people because there's some people that will say a 3 out of 5 is a really good movie, but I'm just like, I can't see myself giving a 3 out of 5 to a really good movie. I can only see myself giving a 3 out of 5 to something that I feel like is okay, and maybe I might find it decent, or maybe I might find it not that decent, but at least it's good enough to get a 3. Like I said, my ranking is very weird, but I just had to clarify that before we get into it. So all right, y'all, basically the way that I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna show the ranking, I'm gonna show my rating, and then I'm going to show my review. And if I have any extra thing to say about the movie, then I will say it. But I'm going to try to keep it short because this year I have 53 movies that I ranked. So I'm going to try to keep it short until we get closer to the higher end of the list. Or if there's a movie that I really didn't like, unless there's a movie that I really have strong opinions about, or maybe my opinions changed on it, then I will speak on it. But, if there's not really much to say, I'm not going to, harp on it for too long because we got 53 movies to get through. So, all right, y'all, enough talking. Let's get into it. And at number 53, we have Drive Away Dolls, this fucking horrible piece of shit movie. All right, so my review says, this is just my opinion, but I can say with 100% certainty, this is going to be the worst film I see this year. Yes, worse than Madam Web. And this is up there with one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Avoid and stay away at all costs. I was so pissed when I seen this movie because I was looking forward to it so badly. I'm a big advocate for comedies coming back in theaters. Beanie Feldstein was one of the main actresses in the movie, and I love her. And being friends with a lot of film people, I always hear about the Coen brothers. And this movie is directed by Ethan Coen. So I was so excited. Everything was getting me ready to see this movie. Just for me to sit through straight bullshit. I think the final nail in the coffin for me, I already hated the movie as I was watching it. But the final nail in the coffin for me was when they revealed what was in the fucking suitcase. And I could tell that, they were going for a laugh there, but nobody in my theater laughed. Nobody in my and even there was two girls sitting in front of me that was watching the movie, and when they were laughing because they were there was barely anybody in the fucking theater. Not that that's an indicator of whether that's a good movie or not, but there was barely anybody in the fucking theater, and the two girls sitting in front of me, every time they laughed wasn't even an intentional thing because I can hear them whispering. It wasn't even something intentionally funny. They were laughing because they were making fun of the film. And I've actually seen a couple of people get up and leave the film way earlier than I did because this is the only movie of 2024 that I actually walked out of the theater. I got to a pretty good point in the movie when, of course, since I seen what was in the suitcase, I got to a pretty good point in the movie. So that was like the final nail in the coffin for me. After they revealed what was in the suitcase, I got my ass up and I went home, man. I just took my L because this shit was fucking garbage. Look, I don't want to watch another Coen Brothers film at all. Maybe this movie is just a bad place to start. Maybe they actually got really good movies. Maybe they got classics. Well, it's not even maybe. Like, there is films that they have that are considered classics. But for this to be my first experience with the Coen Brothers, I did not like this shit at all, and it really makes me not want to check out any of their other films. I'm sorry. If you're a fan of the Coen Brothers, I'm sorry to say this, but like, this film was utter dog shit, and I will never be excited to see anything from either brother after seeing this film. This is just complete dog shit, and if there's any movie on this list that I can warn y'all not to watch, it's this one. I know I said I was going to be quick with these reviews, but I'm sorry. This movie is so fucking horrible. I literally said, you know what? You can't get lower than this. You can't get lower than this. And I was right. Because no other movie got lower than this. So, yeah, 53, piss away dogs, shit away dogs, dolls, whatever. This movie's fucking horrible. Stay away from it. Let's move on. At number 52, we have The Book of Clarence. I only made it halfway through and turned it off, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, the acting and filmmaking was solid, but overall this movie just bored me, and I can't push myself to finish something that I'm not gonna get some type of entertainment out of. Yeah, not really much to say about this movie. Like, I mean, the cast was good, set design, costumes, filmmaking, all that good. It just, I was just bored out of my mind, so I just couldn't finish the movie. Yeah, that's about it. At number 51, we have Night Swim. This movie is genuinely fucking stupid. Like, who signed off on this shit? Only reason I gave it half a star is because the demon's design had me laughing for 5 minutes straight because of how laughably bad it was designed. Just steer clear of this movie. Yeah, that's literally the only reason I gave this movie a half star, because when it came to Amazon Prime and I watched it, bruh, I kid you not, I was literally laughing for 5 minutes straight. Like, when I seen the design, first off, I never did that in a horror movie before. I've literally never done that in a horror movie before. Whether I was in a theater, whether I was at home, I have never laughed at a demon's design. I have never done that. And for 5 minutes straight is bad. Like, it was... That was just one of the worst designed demons I've ever seen in my life. Night Swim is fucking horrible. If you want to torture yourself and watch it, then go ahead and watch it. But just know that when they reveal the demon, you are going to laugh your ass off. Because I know I did. And judging from how bad the reviews are of this movie, I'm pretty much going to say that everybody else also had the same experience as me. At number 50, we have Imaginary. It's sad to say, but so far this year has not been good for films, and this movie doesn't change that. This is the definition of corny and predictable. Think of every great horror movie you've ever seen, and this movie steals elements from that movie. Another bum-ass 2024 release, but at least it was better than Drive Away Dolls. And for context, I put out this review in March, so when I said that so far this hasn't been a great year for films, yeah, I'm basically talking up to March. But yeah, that was the biggest problem that I had with Imaginary. It was so cookie cutter, like it what you expect out of a horror movie, this movie is it. I know people be saying like, oh, this thing must have been AI generated as like a insult or something like that, but like no, I genuinely believe that this movie was AI generated because the plot, and even like I said in my review, it takes so many elements from great horror movies. I seen a little bit of The Conjuring, I seen a little bit of Insidious, I seen a little bit of fucking Child's Play. I seen so many great elements from other great horror movies just slopped together into this. This movie is just horrible. Don't watch it. Or if you're going to watch it, at least, or if you're going to watch a horror movie, at least watch one of the movies that this movie imitates, because it imitates great movies. So why watch this utter bullshit? I think that's the word I'm just going to keep saying until we start getting to the good movies. Bullshit. Because that's what this is. But let's move on to the next one. At number 49, we have I Saw the TV Glow, and my review goes as, I'm not part of this film's target audience, so maybe that's why I feel this way, but this film was highly disappointing for me. It felt very pretentious and had the most insufferable protagonist I've seen all year. If you love this film or resonated with it, then hey, more power to you, and I'm glad that you could pull something from this. But for me, I'm not watching this again. So yeah, pretty much my review said it all. Just a highly disappointing film from A24 for me. And, you know, this year A24 and Neon both did their things, but, you know, A24 did put out a couple more stinkers than usual, and this movie is one of them for me. Like I said in my review, if you could pull something out of it, then hey, more power to you, because I do feel like the overall message that this film was trying to push is one that does need to be talked about in film. Everybody needs to be represented. It just, for me, this movie just didn't do it for me. And like I said, if you pulled something out of it, that's great for you. But for me, this was just a one-time watch, and I'm not watching this again. Number 48, we have Tarot. I thought this movie was going to be like 2018's Truth or Dare, where it's so bad that it's enjoyable. But no, this movie is actually as bad and bland as you think it is. Only positives is Ned's actor, and if you've ever seen the MCU Spider-Man movies, then you know what I mean by Ned's actor. Only positive is that Ned's actor has some good laughs, and the movie was accurately portraying how dumb people who follow astrology can truly be. But besides that, stay away from this dumpster fire. Yeah, pretty much the review said it all, so let's move on. At number 47, we have Madam Web. Don't get me wrong, it's horrible, but not as horrible as everyone says. The three Spider Women and Emma Roberts really felt like they were trying to make the best of a bad movie. And the diner scene wasn't actually that bad in my opinion. But that's the only positives for me. And because this movie is dog shit, don't watch it. And if you do, sail the seven seas. Yeah, not really much to say. This movie was bad, but you know, at least maybe I can watch this again just to laugh at it. But like, don't get me wrong, it's bad, but I just felt like it was a little overblown. But like I said, just a little bit. It does deserve a lot of the hate that it gets, though. 46, we have Argyle. This movie was just a mess to me. The story felt way too all over the place, and it was way too long. I actually fell asleep multiple times watching this movie. Only reason it gets a 1.5 stars is because the action scenes were amazing. Gotta give credit where it's due. But that's the only positive here. Please don't make the sequel. Because at the end of this movie, they tease the sequel, and if Apple knows what's good for them, they will not make this sequel. Because this movie was not good. 45, we have Mean Girls, just a corny and watered down version of the original classic. The musical numbers weren't that good to me either, but I'm not that much of a musical fan anyway. Some pluses I will say is that I like the cinematography tricks that they use during the musical numbers, and the main cast of women is cute as hell, but besides that, it's a skip for me. 44, we got Gladiator 2. So for context, I never seen the original film, nor had I had any interest in seeing it. Gladiator movies just don't really do it for me. So when I give this movie a low ranking, don't take it as me like saying this movie is actually bad. It's just, it's just more that I'm not really interested into these type of movies. But filmmaking wise, the movie isn't bad, besides the camera being out of focus at random times. But like I said, I'm just not interested in these kind of movies. So besides the fight scenes, I was kind of bored. I heard other people in my audience saying that they liked it and they were enjoying it. So that's just really all it is for me. It's just I'm not a fan of gladiator type films. But if you are, and if you enjoyed the first one, seems like you'll enjoy this one a lot more than I did. At 43, we have Maxine. Considering that I found X pretty good and loved Pearl, I really wanted to like this one more. But truth be told, this was a pretty boring and disappointing conclusion to the trilogy. The positives I can give it is the direction, aesthetic, and the cast, especially Mia Goth, but she's done good throughout the whole trilogy. Basically, everybody was giving it their all, but the story just isn't there for me. And I'd probably say just check it out for yourself, because there is a good amount of people that do like this film. But for people like me, yeah, I'll just stick to X and Pearl. I can act like Maxine don't exist. At number 42, we have Fly Me to the Moon. I can definitely say this is Apple's best original film that I've seen, but that's not saying much considering their other films are complete garbage. This movie was just an average one for me, but to be honest, what's stopping it from getting a higher rating is how unnecessarily long it was. Like, they definitely could have trimmed it down. But it was a decent one-time watch, but I'm not going to watch this again. All right, so at 41, we finally get into the movies that I found pretty decent. At 41, we have Bob Marley's One Love. And in my review, I said, didn't have interest in seeing it, but my dad wanted to. It was a decent film, typical biopic. I didn't feel like I learned too much about Bob Marley. And from what I heard, the movie barely scratched the surface of his life. But for what it was entertaining, but I wouldn't rank it amongst the top biopics I've ever seen. Yeah, I pretty much feel the same way about it as like when I wrote the review. But yeah, like I said, I wasn't too big on seeing it, but my dad really wanted to see it. And at least, it was a good enough time. Like I said, a lot of the reviews said that it barely scratched the surface of his life, which kind of annoys me, because like with biopics, I want to learn a lot, especially if it's someone that I don't really know too much about. Like, obviously I know Bob Marley's music, but I didn't know too much about the man. So I wanted to learn so much more, but I really only learned a little bit. And even the little bit that I learned, some people said could have been represented better. So at the end of the day, mixed movie, but I still, had some type of enjoyment. At number 40, we have The Watchers. This is a painfully average movie. Wasn't good, but wasn't bad either. But my biggest problem is that in the future, I hope Aishana finds her own directing style, because this felt like an M. Night movie through and through, which can be taken as a positive if, I see it. That's the thing. M. Night Shyamalan is such a good director, but I don't want his daughter to be him. I want her to find her own way. So it could be taken as a positive, but like I said, I just really want her to find her own way. But not bad, but you could definitely find something better to watch. And yeah, Aishana Shyamalan, like with this movie, you've shown a lot of promise, but you also shown that you are very much inspired by your dad. But I don't know about any other M. Night fans, but I want to watch your vision. I want to watch what you can do as a director, not what you learned from your dad. It's great that you learned from a great director, but in the future, I hope you can come into your own. So not that the movie's bad, but I just really want to see what she can do in the future. So I hope y'all understand what I mean by that. But yeah, The Watchers, not bad, but not great either. At number 39, we have Sting. My review says, just saw this on Mystery Movie Monday, and it was slightly above average to me. I didn't like it as much as everyone else in the theater did, but this was a decent enough movie to watch again with a group of friends. But by myself, nah, I'm good. At number 38, we have Atlas. This movie was cheesy as hell, but also enjoyable. I don't fully know how to describe it really, but this is definitely going to be a guilty pleasure movie for me. All in all, this movie is ass, but admittedly, J-Lo and Smith's chemistry make it like so cheesy that it's good. Check it out if you want to, but I'm not guaranteeing whether you'll like it or not. Yeah, I still pretty much feel the same way as when I first reviewed it. I didn't even intend on watching this. I was over at my brother's apartment complex and he was at his friend's place. And when I went to go see him at his friend's place. This is the movie that him and his friend was watching, and I was like, "Oh, what is this? This looks horrible." But like, we all were like sitting there roasting the movie, but also having a good time with it. It was weird. Like I said, the movie is so bad that it's actually really enjoyable. So, especially if you're watching it with friends. So, I recommend that that's how you watch it. Watch it with a bunch of friends, roast the shit out of it, and you guys will have a good time. As far as watching it by yourself, I don't know if I can do that by myself, but watching it with friends that are willing to roast the movie, perfect time. Perfect time for it. 37, We Live in Time. Gonna be honest, I was a little disappointed with this film, but I still liked it. Won't go out my way to watch it again, but it's a good one-time watch. My biggest gripe gotta be the non-linear structure of the film, because this was literally done for no reason at all. Like, you could have told this story in chronological order and it still would have ended the same way. Overall, I guess great movie to watch for the one time, but after that, you're straight. You don't need to watch it again. Yeah, another disappointing movie from A24 for me. I mean, don't, like I said in the review, I liked it, but it was just disappointing because, two actors that I love, Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield. I was so excited to see this movie, and it was a romance movie by A24, but I don't know. It just didn't hit with me as much as I thought it was. Like, I thought it was going to, and it just didn't hit with me like, as I can see in reviews that it hit with other people. But still, good film. I just don't see myself going out my way to watch it. At number 36, we have September 5th, another mystery movie that was decent. Besides getting out of the film a few times, I don't really have much to say. Won't be one that I'll go out my way to watch again, but it wasn't a bad film either. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this film. I mean, check it out if you want to, but yeah. At number 35, we have Woman of the Hour. Solid directorial debut by Anna Kendrick. She does so many comedy films that I'm actually surprised that she used a real life serial killer case for her directorial debut, but no complaints here. She did a good job, and honestly, I feel like the movie would have benefited more if it was in theaters than opposed to Netflix, but I'm always the main person screaming movies should be in theaters opposed to streaming services. But either way, good job, solid Netflix film and solid directorial debut, and honestly, I can't wait to see what she does in the future. At number 34, we have The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. It was a good, harmless family Christmas movie. Can't say I'd add this to the list of movies I'll watch like regularly around the holidays, but it's a pretty good film to watch with the family if you're looking for something. But yeah, that's pretty much all to it. I just feel like it's not one that I'll go out my way to watch again. But if I'm surrounded by family and they want to watch a family-friendly Christmas movie, I'll offer this as an option. At number 33, we have The Underdogs. This is honestly good compared to Snoop Dogg's other films, because a lot of his other films are trash. But the kids in this film didn't annoy me as much as I thought that they would. And this film actually packs a lot of heart into it. This is more of a chilling with your friends and y'all just turn this on to watch or maybe even make fun of type movie, but nothing special. But I do recommend it to comedy fans. Me and my brother definitely, we laughed our ass off watching this for the first time. I haven't rewatched it since I watched it the first time, but it's a good movie, especially good for comedy. Once again, I'm always going to say I wish movies like this would be in theaters, but as a streaming film, it was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So if you're a fan of comedy or if you're a fan of Snoop Dogg, definitely go check it out, because I do think this is way better than a lot of the films that I've seen him in. Number 32, we have Babes, another win for comedies back in theaters. While this isn't the funniest movie, I did enjoy it from beginning to end, and I would definitely recommend it to other people who want to see a feel-good buddy comedy. Another movie from Neon this year, which I gotta admit, Neon were the MVPs of this year. It's a really big tie between A24 and Neon, but if I had to pick one, Neon really didn't actually put out any disappointments for me this year. So yeah, and Babes was another win for them in my opinion. I seen this through the Mystery Movie Monday, of course, but even if I didn't, there was a slight chance that I would have still checked it out anyway, because like I said, big advocate for comedies being back in theaters. So I encourage y'all, check out Babes. I know it's out on, I don't know if it's on physical media, but I know it's on streaming services. So definitely check out Babes. We need more comedies coming back in theaters. So yeah. At number 31, we have Boy Kills World, which trips me up because the whole time I kept thinking Boy Meets World. But a fun movie. There are things that I didn't like about it, but overall, good movie from beginning to end. Had a lot of great action scenes, and that's pretty much about it. That's I didn't really have a long review for this one just because it just kind of is what it is. It was just a good action movie. Not too much to say, but it was a good action movie. If you want to watch a good action movie, that's all I keep repeating. But if you want to watch that and not John Wick or anything like that, then Boy Kills World isn't a bad option. At number 30, we have Inside Out. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but I definitely like this one better than the first. It was funny throughout, and the deeper moments touching on anxiety hit exactly the way they were supposed to. I hope that we at least get to see one more Inside Out film because this series brings back a lot of the old Pixar feels for me. And yeah, Inside Out 1, I'm not going to lie, slightly overrated in my opinion. I remember when it came out, like everybody kept talking about it. At the end of the school year, they always kept playing it, as a movie for us to watch. So I got Inside Out outed. Like I got Inside Out, like I was done with Inside Out 1. But Inside Out 2, and it's not even just them overplaying it. I just did feel like the movie was slightly overrated. But Inside Out 2, I felt like was a great sequel. And like I said, personally, I like this one better, especially since it touches on anxiety, which not to say that I have it because I'm not going to self-diagnose, but I felt like I resonated with a lot of those scenes. So yeah, Inside Out 2, definitely check it out if you haven't, but seeing how it's one of the highest grossing films of the year, yeah, I'm pretty sure you have checked it out. So yeah. At number 29, we have Ordinary Angels. I saw this through Regal's Mystery Movie Monday, and not gonna lie, when it first started, I did contemplate leaving, but I'm very glad that I didn't. It had great performances and a heartwarming story. Dramas really isn't my thing, so I'm surprised that I liked it as much as I did, but I probably won't go out my way to watch it again, but I know when I do that it'll be a guaranteed good watch. 28, we have Blink Twice. Solid directorial debut from Zoe Kravitz. I enjoyed it, but this is more of a I'll catch it if it's on TV type thing, but I won't go out my way to watch it again, but it is definitely worth a view if given the chance. Other people definitely enjoyed it more than I did, but like I said, it's more of a, hey, this movie was good, I'll watch it. Or if I'm over at a friend's house and they're watching it, I wouldn't mind sitting down watching it, but solid directorial debut. I just don't know if I would watch it again, really. At number 27, we have Speak No Evil. I watched the original and then I watched this version. And to be honest, while this version actually isn't bad at all, like I got no complaints about it, really, there's just no point in watching this version if you've already seen the original. The only difference, and granted this is a big difference, but the only difference between this version and the original is the ending. So really, you just kind of pick which ending you rather watch, but up until the ending, pretty much the same film. So I don't want to discourage anybody from seeing either film, but yeah, at least to me, and there is like small differences, obviously, because both movies kind of speak on the cultures that each film was made in. But as far as everything else, solid movies is just, you're really just picking which ending you rather have. And for me, I preferred the ending of the original. But like I said, this movie isn't bad. But if you've seen the original, you can easily skip this one. At number 26, we have Ezra. The same way that I feel about Ordinary Angels is pretty much the same way I feel about this. Only reason that I'm giving this movie a slight edge is because I found it funnier. But, good film. Just won't go out my way to watch it again. But at least if I do, then I know I'm guaranteed to have a really good time with it. At number 25, we have The Bike Riders. Not much to say, but this was a great film and definitely one that I recommend to others. Only reason I can't rate it higher is due to how slow the beginning is, but once it gets going, it never slows down. When I wrote this review, that was not intended to be a motorcycle joke, but continuing, check it out if given the chance. And yeah, Bike Riders, really good film. I recently watched Goodfellas for the first time, and yeah, this now looking back in hindsight, this movie is literally Goodfellas with motorcycles. So when I seen reviews where people kept saying that, I finally get it. Like, yeah, I get it. At number 24, we have Cuckoo. It's a solid film, but it's not one that I would rush to see again. Which, funny enough, after I wrote this review, one of my friends called me and said, "Hey, do you want to see Cuckoo? I know you already seen it, but do you want to see it again?" I told him I'm not going unless he'll pay for me. He paid for me. So, yeah, that's the only reason I went to go see it again in theaters. But, yeah, like I said, not one that I would rush to see again. Hunter Schafer did an amazing job and really great acting across the board. But like I said, it was good, but nobody had to rush to see this in theaters. At least when I wrote the review, I said nobody had to rush to see it in theaters. But definitely catch it when it gets on streaming though. I wouldn't add this movie to my Blu-ray collection, but you know, it is one that I would definitely stream at some point again. Like, it was still a solid film. So don't take my review as a negative one. Like, solid film. I wouldn't add it to my Blu-ray collection, but I would definitely stream. At number 23, we have Your Monster, another enjoyable mystery movie Monday. Very similar setup to Lisa Frankenstein, but still has enough differences to stand out on its own. Not much to say really besides it being a nice little Halloween rom-com with an ending that'll definitely leave people guessing. Check it out with your significant other when it releases. And yeah, Your Monster, it still stands in the ranking that I have it at, but I will definitely say that the time after the movie, I definitely grown, I think, more of an appreciation, you could say, for it. I definitely keep like looking it up, and soon I may rewatch it again, especially since I don't want to spoil nothing, but it's definitely a movie where I can resonate with it. Even though I'm not a woman and this movie very much is speaking to women, I feel like overall what it was trying to say and what the ending did, I can resonate with it. So yeah, Your Monster, definitely one where I would keep it at 23, but it definitely had a lot for me to like, you know what? I'll go back and check on that. Like, yeah. At number 22, we have My Old Ass, which, funny enough, when I told the title to one of my friends, they were like, "Is this a black movie?" Which, no, it's just a very funny title. But My Old Ass, it's been a while since Regal done a mystery movie Monday, and while I wouldn't say this was worth the long wait, I definitely enjoyed this movie. A pretty good dramedy that I feel people will enjoy. This falls more under the wouldn't go out my way to watch it again, but I'll catch it if it's on type movies. It is a comedy, so I'll definitely tell people to go watch it. And yeah, My Old Ass, it's one of those movies that, like I said, I haven't gone out my way to watch it again since the last time. I did go back to watch a few clips of the movie, especially since it keeps showing up on my TikTok. But overall, you know, it was a good movie. I can probably see myself watching it again, probably not anytime soon, but like I can see myself watching it again. But yeah, My Old Ass, definitely check it out. And it was a pretty good coming of age comedy that came out this year. So if that's your type of thing, then definitely check it out. At 21, we have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. While I didn't like this one as much as the last three entries, this was still a great addition to the Planet of the Apes series. Acting is great as usual. The story's use of Caesar and his legacy was great, and the new cast of characters are standouts already. Of course, the biggest praise I can give it is in the visuals. This is a beautifully shot film. If you love the franchise, definitely check this one out, which, yeah, Planet of the Apes, one of my favorite film series, so this being a good one really wasn't surprising at all. Like I said, the only reason that it got a 4 out of 5 and why I can't rank it any higher is just because I just simply like the other movies better. The other ones are basically classics in my opinion. This is good, but I can't see it being a classic amongst the others, so yeah. At number 20, we have Here. If you ever wanted to see Disney make a Carousel of Progress movie, then this is the closest thing you're going to get to it, which, fun fact, that's one of my favorite attractions at Disney World. But I would describe this more as an experience than an actual film, to be honest. But when I say that, I don't mean it in a bad way. I actually like the gimmick that this movie used. Basically, watching these people's lives at one fixed angle. And it's not even just about Tom Hanks and his family, but we see various people throughout time in this one angle. And I mean, like, from prehistoric times to modern time, like, we're literally watching multiple people's lives, mostly Tom Hanks' family, but we're watching multiple people's lives in this one angle. And I actually appreciate the gimmick because not only does it talk about like how much life is lived in a home, but just in a space. I know this sounds like some high thoughts type stuff, but like, I don't know. I just like the gimmick. I like how it was executed, and it just really makes me think deeply about life. So if this is your type of movie, definitely go check it out. Number 19, we have Three Wiser Men and a Boy, which kind of killed me that they just didn't call it Three Wise Men and a Boy. I just felt like that title is just too much going on there. But yeah, Three Wiser Men and a Boy. This is going to be somewhat of a biased review because I love cringy Hallmark movies and I'm a fan of the original. So of course I had to check the sequel out. What can I say? It's charmingly corny. Got a few laughs out of me. So while I wouldn't recommend it to anybody unless you're into Hallmark movies like I am, I'll just say that personally I had a good time with it. And yeah, I don't know if I ever made it clear. Oh yeah, I did make it clear from my Blu-ray and DVD update videos, but I love Hallmark movies. My brother put me on to them, and like, I know they're bad movies. I know they're corny. I know they're cheesy, but I just can't help but love them. But Three Wise Men and a Baby was one of my favorite Hallmark movies. So for it to get a sequel and for it to actually be better than the last one, yeah, I really enjoyed this one. And if they release this one on DVD, I'm adding it to my collection, and it's going to be one that I watch regularly every year around the holidays. At number 18, we have Piece by Piece. Kind of sad that I don't see people talk about this movie that much, but honestly, if you're a fan of Pharrell or 2000s music, then this will be an enjoyable experience. People probably think the Lego approach is just a gimmick, but it actually does add to the visuals and the descriptions of his story. Overall, great film and one that I can see myself rewatching again soon. And it is actually one that I'm considering adding to my Blu-ray collection if they did release it physically. So yeah, definitely go check out Piece by Piece. I will definitely say that I describe it to people as a biopic, but I would probably say it takes more of the approach of a documentary. The only slight that I have for it and why I can't really give it anything higher is that it doesn't really talk anything negative about Pharrell, which I like biopics that can be very honest about his subjects. Show us the good, show us the bad, but this movie really just sticks more on the good side of him. And even the most bad thing that they could say about him is at one point he just kind of lost his vision, which is like, okay. But yeah, either way, check out Piece by Piece. Really enjoyable film, and like I said, one that I would consider adding to my collection. At number 17, we have Immaculate. This was Sydney Sweeney's passion project, and from the way that this film was executed, I can definitely see the passion behind it. The trailer makes this look like a typical nun horror film, but trust me, the twist and the ending will either make this ride enjoyable or disappointing for you, but I'm very glad to say that I'm on the favorable end, and I will end up buying this on Blu-ray at some point. Yeah, Immaculate, great movie. I did not see that twist coming, and I very much enjoyed it. So yeah, I've seen some people have a problem with Immaculate, but truth be told, for me, I can enjoy this movie a lot just because I really see the passion that Sydney Sweeney had for it, and the ending scene alone is probably worth the price of admission for me. So yeah, check it out if you guys are into like horror movies, especially non-horror movies, because it is very different than what the trailers would lead you to believe. At number 16, we have Monkey Man. This is easily going to be the best action movie I'll see this year. This movie isn't completely the John Wick type movie that the trailers would make you believe, but you still get a lot of good action, no doubt, but also an amazing story to go with it. Thank God Jordan Peele took this from Netflix, because this is one that needs to be seen on a big screen. And I wrote this in my original review, but unfortunately it's not in theaters anymore. So I just say it's definitely a movie that you just need to go support. Stream it, buy it. I know I plan on buying it at some point. But yeah, Monkey Man, Amazing movie, and I thank God for creatives like Jordan Peele saving films from being just plopped on the streaming services, talked about for 1 week, and then people will forget about it. So, thank you, Peele. At number 15, we have Lisa Frankenstein. Aside from a couple questionable choices, this was an overall fun watch for me. Catherine Newton and Cole Sprouse had a lot of chemistry throughout. The movie wasn't cheesy despite it taking place in the 80s, and I thought the Tim Burton-esque vibe that the film was going for was pretty good. Definitely a good date night movie, but in my case, I'm single, so still a good movie to watch if solo, and it's probably going to be this movie was a weird mix of like horror and romantic comedy. So I can see myself watching this around, Halloween time, but also Valentine's Day time. And especially if I get a girlfriend that's very much into like comedy and horror as much as I am, can definitely see us, watching this movie together regularly. So yeah, check out Lisa Frankenstein. If you've seen, I think it was like last month. It was either last month or the month before that I did my Blu-ray update video. I already have this movie in my collection, so I definitely highly recommend this to people. At number 14, we have The Order, another great mystery movie Monday. Not much to say about this one. I enjoyed this film a lot, and it definitely kept me on the edge of my seat multiple times. Catch this film when it does get a wide release, which I think it's still in theaters right now, so definitely check it out. Yeah, not really much to say. I very much enjoyed it, and it's definitely one I'll add to my collection at some point. At number 13, we have Trap. I see plenty of polarizing reviews for this movie, so I didn't know how I was going to feel when I first seen it, but I'm glad to say that I enjoyed this a lot. I think some people are forgetting that M. Night movies are sometimes movies that you just got to sit back and have fun with. I didn't get a completely take this movie seriously vibe from the trailers, so when I went in, I didn't take it fully seriously, and I just wanted to go in and have a fun cat and mouse movie, and that's exactly what I got. My only gripe that I had is that like it went on a little bit too long for me because the main character kept getting caught and then somehow found bullshit ways to get out of it. But besides that, don't go in with crazy expectations. Don't go in expecting a twist. And you should have a good time, because a lot of the reviews that I've seen, it seemed like a lot of people was disappointed because this movie didn't have like a crazy big twist like M. Night movies usually do have. But he has multiple movies where there's not really much of a twist and you just kind of get what you get. So I don't get why people keep going in with these big expectations, but just go in and have fun with it. And I feel like that's where you'll enjoy it. I'm not saying that this movie is completely stupid and that you need to accept anything, but like I just went in wanting a fun movie, and that's what I got, and that's why I enjoyed it more than most people. So yeah, Trap, go check it out. Definitely adding this one to my collection, and might be my favorite M. Night movie from him. Might be, but I gotta check out more of his movies to be sure on that. But yeah, check out Trap. 12, we got Bad Boys Ride or Die. I wasn't planning on seeing this film, but damn, did I wind up having a good time with it. It's a Bad Boys film, so you already know you're going to get some good comedy and action mixed together. The action scenes in this one is probably my favorite of the whole series. Not much to say, but if you enjoyed the others, then of course you'll like this one. And this was probably one of the best theater experiences I had all year. Like I said, I was not intending on seeing this movie, but my cousin and my brother wanted to see it. So I was like, fuck it. I guess since everybody wants to go see it, I'll go see it. So we all went, and like the theater was packed. The theater was packed. We seen somebody that we knew there, and funny enough, they had tickets like literally sitting right next to us. So like, we had a good time with it, and everybody in the theater was like laughing their ass off. We were all on the edge of our seat during the action scene. So yeah, Bad Boys Ride or Die, definitely a great time. Like I said, one of the best film experiences that I had this year. And arguably this might be my favorite of the series. 3 is still up there for me, but this is a very close second if it's not my favorite. But yeah, Bad Boys Ride or Die. Seeing how this was one of the most popular films of the year, and I think it was one of the most highest grossing films of the year, I don't need to tell y'all to check it out. Everybody done checked it out. So yeah, Bad Boys Ride or Die, amazing film. Now let's go on to the next one. At number 11, we have In a Violent Nature. Now, let me just say that this movie will not be for everybody. But for me, I love this movie as a horror fan. I think everyone will know what I mean when I say that this movie has one of the best / craziest kills I've ever seen in a horror movie. Let's just say that the yoga scene is one that will turn boys into men, especially if you're just getting into horror. I'm a big horror fan, so I'm not just getting into it, but even for someone that's been around for a long time as a horror fan, this movie, that scene will turn boys into men. And that scene is worth the price of admission alone. But overall, like I said, this movie isn't going to be for everybody. I've seen a lot of people say that this movie is boring. I've seen this movie get compared to Skinamarink a lot, which Skinamarink was some old bullshit. Don't ever compare this movie to Skinamarink. In a Violent Nature, great. Skinamarink, bullshit. Skinamarink was my Drive Away Dolls last year, so y'all already know how I'm coming with that movie. But rant aside, In a Violent Nature, great. I very much enjoyed it. And it is one that I feel like you need to watch yourself to see how you feel on it. So maybe I love it, you may hate it. But at the end of the day, that yoga scene is fucking crazy. Yeah. All right, y'all. So now we're in the top 10. Top 10. So now I feel more inclined to talk about these movies further if I really have to. But at number 10, we have Civil War. This is up there for one of the best A24 films. I was hesitant to see this because of Alex Garland's last film, but I was pleasantly surprised by how amazing this film was. This is definitely a must-see film of the year for me. And yeah, Civil War, such an amazing film. I had like a great time with it. And the crazy thing is, it's not a horror movie, but it very much felt like a horror movie, especially with the sound design. Like gunshots sounded like fucking crazy in this movie. The direction, so much was amazing with this movie, and it's undoubtedly one that I'm definitely going to get in my collection. Definitely one I will get in my collection very soon. But yeah, Civil War, I don't need to talk about how amazing the movie it is because like when it first came out, everybody kept talking about it. So I don't need to talk about how amazing it is, but if you haven't seen Civil War, definitely check it out, especially with... See, the movie came out at a perfect time because of the political climate of this country, and I still feel like it's one that will definitely give chills to people that are keeping up with things politically. I'm not a big politics person, but this movie did give me chills because from what I see, this movie is definitely a warning of what could happen if we all don't come together. So, yeah. Like I said, if you haven't seen it, check out Civil War. Guaranteed great time. At number 9, we have The Fire Inside. This was the final mystery movie of 2024, and they went out with a fucking bang. Boxing is my favorite sport, so seeing Clarissa Shields' story was amazing. I can't give it a 5 out of 5 stars, though, because there were some aspects of her life that I felt like was glossed over, and there were some aspects that was touched on, but I just felt like needed more focus. And maybe if the film was longer, they probably would have did it. But for what we got, this was a great biopic, and this is definitely one I will add to my collection if given a physical release, because some movies from MGM, Bottoms, never gets physical releases. So if The Fire Inside doesn't get one, very tragic. I'll still get it digitally if it doesn't get a physical release. But if it does get one, I'm definitely going to buy it. Fire Inside, great movie. And I think it comes out theatrically next week as of me recording this episode. So if you guys are watching this episode the week that I drop it, check it out next week. If you're watching it next week, maybe you found it after the week I dropped this episode, check it out in theaters. Or if you just find this episode sometime in the future, just watch The Fire Inside. I feel like it's a movie that's gonna get slept on, and I want to prevent it from getting slept on. It's such a great film. So yeah, Fire Inside, check it out. At number 8, we have Abigail. The only gripe I had with this movie is that it ran a little bit too long, but other than that, it was an excellent film from beginning to end, and probably my second favorite film from Radio Silence. Also, I love this film's take on vampires. So if you're into that type of stuff, go check it out. Yeah. Abigail, not really too much to say. I really like the movie a lot. I'm glad to see Melissa Barrera, getting more leading roles after the bullshit that she went through with Spyglass. I think it's Spyglass, the ones that's running the Scream franchise, the way that they did her dirty. I'm so glad to see her getting more, lead film roles now. And also R.I.P. Angus Cloud, he did an amazing job in this film, and so did everybody else. So if you're into that type of stuff, if you're into like horror comedy, Abigail is definitely one to check out. I've seen some people bitch about it, like saying that, oh, the twist was spoiled in the trailer, which I don't really feel like there was a twist to begin with. And also, why wouldn't they show that the girl is low-key a vampire? Like, that's kind of the aspect of the film that sucked people in to see the movie. And I feel like there's still stuff to get out of it, whether you already knew she was a vampire or not. So, yeah, go check out Abigail. Very enjoyable film, and definitely one I'm going to add to my collection at some point. At number 7, we have a film sponsored by Voss Water, Smile 2. If you've seen the film, then you know why I say that is sponsored by Voss Water, which a lot of movies this year were sponsored by Voss Water. So was Anora, but let's continue. But for real though, it takes a lot of elements from the first film and it expands on them further and does them better. Admittedly, I still like the first movie slightly better than this one, but this film definitely is better in terms of filmmaking. Sound design is also up there for me for like one of the best this year. And then also this movie has probably the best opening scene of any movie this year, in my opinion. Like the opening scene, this franchise, like the opening scene easily showed me that this franchise could also be an action series if they really wanted it to be. But yeah, whether you're into horror or not, I definitely recommend this just because the film, while it is a fun horror film, I like the Smile franchise because it speaks a lot on mental health, which is something that I definitely like to talk about a lot. So yeah, Smile 2, fun film. I'm gonna try to get that limited edition steelbook. I don't know if it's still available. Money is kind of tight this month, especially with it being Christmas. But yeah, if I am able to get the limited edition steelbook for this movie, definitely gonna get it. And yeah, check out Smile 2, which a lot of people have been talking about this movie a lot. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people have checked it out. But if you haven't, check out Smile 2. Now, if you want to talk about horror movies with great filmmaking, at number 6, we have Longlegs. So let me start by saying that this movie was nowhere near as scary as the advertising and all the reviews was making it out to be. But this is definitely one of the most unsettling horror movies I've ever watched, which I feel like there's a difference between being disturbed and unsettled than being scared. And this movie didn't scare me, but it definitely made me feel very disturbed, unsettled. This might be the best use of filmmaking I've ever seen in a horror movie. The cast, the director, Osgood Perkins, everybody gave it their all. Overall, I say that this is a really good movie despite the mixed reviews and despite the hate that I've been seeing for this movie recently, because I've been seeing a lot of people talk shit about Longlegs recently. Oh, because of the second half of the film, once the twist gets revealed, it's bad to me. Look, besides all that bullshit, this movie was amazing in my opinion. And like I said, every aspect from the cast, I personally liked the story. I didn't feel like the twist ruined it for me. The direction, the cinematography, like this is one of the few horror movies, or yeah, it's kind of rare for me to say a horror movie is like, this, but this is one of the rare horror movies where I say this is literally art. Like you can take any shot from this movie and I feel like it could be an art piece. So Longlegs, look, stand behind me, get behind me, Longlegs, because this movie is amazing and I'm not going to let any of the naysayers and bullshitters ruin this movie for anybody. This was a great film and maybe we need to give it more time, because I do feel like some of the hate is because people was hyping it up a lot, and this isn't me trying to hype it up. I'm just saying that I personally do love it as much as a lot of people was saying it was good. The haters, maybe we need to give it some more time, because maybe y'all feel this way just because of how hyped up it was. But at some point, y'all gonna acknowledge how great of a movie Longlegs is. Like, this was an amazing movie, and like I said, shit is art. This movie is art, especially in terms of cinematography. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out. And maybe you won't love it as much as I do, but I do feel like when you go in without all the big, this is going to be the scariest movie of all time, or any of those type of big expectations that people was putting onto it, when you go in with like regular expectations, I do think you're going to very much enjoy the film. So yeah, definitely check out Longlegs, and let's move on to the next one. At number 5, we have Heretic. Let me just tell you, man, this movie had me on the edge of my fucking seat. Like, literally, from beginning to end, this movie had me constantly wondering, where is it going to go next? But besides the anticipation that this movie builds up, I say that I love this movie a lot because of the discussion that it has on religion and beliefs. Because I'm a Christian. I make it very much known that I'm a Christian. And I'm also very open-minded. Like, I'm willing to listen to people of different, like, I'm willing to listen to people that has different beliefs than me, different religions, and even people that don't have any beliefs. I'm still willing to hear you out, but I'm still going to be in my belief of Christianity. And that's what I felt like this movie did very well. It definitely had the conversation of religion and belief without really making anybody of a particular religion like feel attacked or anything. So if you're into like movies that will make you think but also have you on the edge of your seat, this movie is definitely for you. And I probably say like A24, this is probably their best film that they released this year, and I had a lot of fun with it. So Heretic, if you guys are very much open-minded, if you guys are open-minded to hearing other people's beliefs, because I know there's some Christians that will probably get mad at this movie, or I'm only just speaking on Christianity because I'm a Christian. I can see a lot of people that are religious probably getting mad at this movie, but if you keep an open mind, you listen to the discussions, and it's not going to sway, like, this movie isn't going to sway your thoughts on religion or anything like that. I'm just saying that if you're open to hearing other people's thoughts and beliefs, then this movie will also be a great think piece for you. So yeah, Heretic, if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. At number 4, we have Whitebird, another amazing mystery movie in the books. And yeah, before I seen this movie, let me just say, I literally only seen the poster, because with mystery movies, they used to give out hints, and now they really don't at all. Like, the only hint that they'll probably give is a runtime and the rating of the film. So people was guessing Whitebird is most likely going to be the movie for this Monday. And I was sitting there like looking it up, and when I saw the poster, it just looks like a typical romance film. Nowhere in the poster at all did I get that it was going to be a World War II film. So you can imagine that I was thrown so off guard, thinking that I'm just going to see a simple romance movie between two teens, and I just see the Holocaust being depicted. Yeah, I was not expecting that, but me not expecting it didn't ruin my time with the film. It's such an amazing film. I don't really watch too many Holocaust movies. Like, of course I've seen some of the bigger known ones, but I don't watch too many Holocaust movies. So I don't know if any of them depicts a romance, but I do like that they depicted a romance in this movie. And what can I say? I'm a lover boy. I very much am into a lot of romance movies. So I did like that aspects of the film. So, check it out if you want to. I don't really know what audience I can really describe this movie to, because it is a World War II movie, but it also focuses on the romance almost just as much as the Holocaust. So I don't really know who to recommend this movie to fully, but if my description of it sounds interesting, then definitely check it out. And one thing I will say, for everybody that's seen the movie, the wolves were the realest. They were the biggest MV fucking P's of the year. Out of any characters, anything in a movie, the wolves were the biggest MVPs this year. If I could give awards to characters and stuff like that, I give the award to the wolves Ooh, one of the most satisfying death scenes I've ever seen in a movie. Watch the movie so you could get the context. But yeah, Whitebird, adding to my collection, definitely. At number three, we have Deadpool and Wolverine. Just to clarify, growing up, I was not a fan of the X-Men movies. And I had an iffy relationship with the Deadpool movies before this one. The first movie I thought was decent. Second movie, I didn't like it at all. Like, there wasn't really much of an aspect to it that I did like. I mean, there is one, but I'll speak on that later in my review. But with all that being said, this movie was actually amazing and I had a great time with it. This movie is truly a love letter to Marvel Fox universe fans. Like I said, I didn't watch the X-Men movies growing up. Well, I did see some of them, but I wasn't a fan of the X-Men movies growing up, but I was a fan of the Fantastic Four and I was a fan of Blade. So even if you take away the fan service, which I really don't consider it fan service if it actually has a purpose to the plot, but even if you take away the quote unquote fan service in this movie still has such like amazing aspects to it. First off, this was the only Deadpool movie that actually made me laugh. The first movie didn't really make me laugh like that. Second movie, like I said, I didn't like it at all, but this was one of the first few, or this was the only Deadpool movie that actually made me laugh. The only movie where I didn't find Deadpool annoying, which I feel like having Wolverine there as the straight man to like, you know, not have Deadpool be so extra. I felt like it made the movie work for me. Even Wolverine just himself being a variant of, you know, someone that wasn't as successful as we know Wolverine to be. Like, I liked what they did with this movie. The heart was definitely an aspect of this movie that I love just as much as the comedy, which, to give credit where it's due, the heart has always been there for the Deadpool movies. Like, the first movie had a lot of heart to it. Second movie, as much as I didn't like it, the heart was still there. So to see it, you know, back, but also done way better in this movie, you know, I definitely appreciated that. So, you know, this movie was one of the biggest films of the year. So I don't really have to say go check it out. A lot of people have checked it out. If you're one of the 5 people that haven't checked it out, then, you know, go ahead and do that. But yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine, great film. I had such an amazing time with it. And honestly, I just can't wait to see what they do with both Deadpool and Wolverine in the future of the MCU. So yeah. At number 2, we have The Long Game. In my review, I said, I can finally say there's a 5 out of 5 film this year. I honestly have no complaints at all. A great film from beginning to end with captivating and heartwarming story. I'm not much of a golf fan. Drama is my least favorite genre. And I didn't know the true story behind this, but regardless of all those reasons, I still love this movie. And it's definitely one that I'm adding to my collection. Yeah, The Long Game still holds up to me. I did watch it one more time after seeing it initially in theaters during the Mystery Movie Monday. And yeah, Long Game, I got to give it credit. For most of this year, at least until October, this was my top film of the year, and it was one that I honestly didn't think was going to be touched. I thought by the end of this year, it was not going to be touched at all. But you'll see which movie touched it. And I mean, if you follow me on social media, then you probably already know what movie did top it. But The Long Game, such an amazing film. It's sad because it's kind of going under the radar. But if you don't watch any other movie on this list, then I definitely say watch The Long Game. Even my number one. I feel like a lot of people has already watched my number one film just because it's getting a lot of, you know, nominations and a lot of different, you know, award ceremonies. But for movies that are under the radar on my list, this one is definitely the one I will tell people to go check out and watch because it was just such an amazing film. And like I said, from when I first seen it to October, I genuinely didn't think it was going to be topped. But let's get into my number one film. And like I said, if you follow me on social media, then you probably already knew what it was going to be. At number one, we have Anora. Ever since I've seen the first trailer of this movie, it has become my most anticipated film of the year. And I'm very glad to say that it lived up to the hype for me. From the acting, cinematography, music choices, and the writing, I loved every single aspect of this film. I definitely say the biggest highlight is a tie between Sean Baker's direction and Mikey Madison's performance. Anora is a wild ride from beginning to end that'll make you laugh, tug at your heartstrings, and keep you on the edge of your seat. 10 out of 10, and I highly recommend this movie to everybody. But don't watch this movie with your family though. It has way too much sex in it. Like I've seen sex scenes in front of my parents before, but this movie has so much sex in it. Like at some point it's gonna get really fucking disturbing if I watched it with my family. So don't ever watch this movie with your family. But yeah, man, Anora. What can I say about this movie that has not already been said in film spaces already? I'm gonna try. I will say that I have rewatched this movie a few times after first seeing it, and there is a very small gripe that I have. I don't think it takes away from this movie being a 10 out of 10 for me, but the very small gripe that I have, because no movie is perfect, but the very small gripe that I have is, spoiler alert, but there's a character named Igor that's introduced in the film, and at the end of the film, he somewhat gets with Annie at the end of the film. She likes to be called by Annie, but Anora's character. He basically gets with Anora's character, and in my opinion, is kind of one of the most forced romances I've ever seen in a film. Certain scenes where he doesn't need to be in, he is just there. The way that they're introduced to each other, I personally felt uncomfortable by how they introduce his character to Annie. But at the end of the day, I get the purpose of his character. I just wish they would have done it a little bit different. But like I said, no movie is perfect. And despite my feelings on Igor's character and how he was used, I still feel like this movie is a 10 out of 10. Just because I still get the vision that Sean Baker was going for with that character. I personally would have done it differently, but I like the vision that you had with it. But yeah, Anora, great ass movie. Funny as hell. The ending, like I said, this movie will tug on your heartstrings, and it's not just the ending, but like the ending is one of the biggest examples of how tragic this movie can also be. Like this movie has a lot of highs and lows, and I don't mean that in like bad and good. I mean like there's moments where you'll feel like just as excited as the characters, but then there's moments where kind of like the ending where like you'll feel so defeated. Like I remember when I was in the theater, usually, you know how like when you're done in a movie, you'll like hear everybody give their opinions when y'all walk out and stuff like that. The ending of this movie was so tragic and hit so hard that like nobody in the theater said anything. Everybody just silently left out of the theaters. And the only comment that I did hear when we left the theater was one girl saying to her boyfriend, "That left me feeling empty." Now, okay, I wish I would have just asked her, like, do you mean empty in like that you didn't like the movie, or the fact that like the ending is just like it's such a sad ending? But you know, that just goes to how good the story is. Mikey Madison put on the performance of a year. I need her to win awards for this. Sean Baker, I was sleeping on him as a director because ever since this movie, I've been checking out his other films, especially The Florida Project, which I've seen some people say that they prefer The Florida Project over this. In my personal opinion, and I'm not trying to be biased here, I like this one better than The Florida Project, but don't get me wrong, Florida Project is also a great film. I'm also going to add that to my collection. But Anora, it is the best film of the year and one of the best films I've ever seen. Like, it basically has gone into my all-time list. Anora, like I said, there's just so much that I can say, but what hasn't already been said about this movie? Like, Such a great film, and I've been trying to put all my friends onto it. Um, yeah, I just love this movie. So, soon as it gets a physical release, I won't hesitate to buy the shit. I don't care how expensive it is. Soon as I see it got a physical release, I am buying it. Nora is such an amazing film, and like I said, I encourage everybody to check it out. Everybody to check it out. Don't watch it with your parents. If watching plenty of sex scenes, because there's a lot, if watching plenty of sex scenes is going to be awkward for you, don't watch it with that person that it would be awkward with. But definitely watch it. It's such an amazing film, and it deserves every award that it's nominated for. So yeah, y'all, that was my ranking for 2024. There's of course a lot of movies that are not on this list. Movies that aren't on this list, I probably should have said this in the beginning of the episode, but let me just clarify. If it's not on this list, it's most likely because I just didn't see it. I had one of my friends call me and say, why wasn't this movie on your list last year? And I had to tell him, like, bro, I just didn't see it. So any movie that you probably expected to see on this list, most likely I just haven't seen it. And trust me, there's some movies that had to stay off this list because they're coming out way later after I said, you know what, this is my cutoff point for the year. I really wanted Sonic 3 to be on this list, but Sonic 3 is releasing, later this week as of me recording this. And I had to get this episode out this week. So yeah, man. It's sad. I don't know. It's kind of sad for me that this year is ending because this year was actually really good for film. It started out rough. Don't get me wrong. It started out so rough. But over the year, we wound up getting a lot of films that, as you guys could see, was 5 out of 5s for me. Ones that will go on to be classics for me. Ones that will go on to be like the greatest of all time, Anora. Like, there's just so many great films that came out this year when at first things was looking so fucking bleak. But yeah, 2024, great year for film. I personally like this one better than last year, which if you look at my last year list, I think there was only like 2 or 3 films that got a 5 out of 5, opposed to this year where I think there was like 7 films that got 5 out of 5. So yeah, this year, everybody did their fucking thing. Just like with music, started out rough, but as the year went on and people kept releasing, everybody did their fucking thing. And I'm just glad that, there's a lot of films I can look back at 2024 fondly with. And I hope that 2025 continues, this trend of great films. At the top of my head, there's a few movies that I'm highly anticipating next year. One, probably, like I said, at the top of my head, my most anticipated film for next year at the top of my head is the Lilo and Stitch live action remake. I cannot wait to see that. That Lilo and Stitch was one of my favorite Disney movies growing up, still is. So to see them do a live action version, and apparently this movie was originally supposed to be on Disney Plus, but apparently the script was so good that Disney wants it to be released theatrically. So I know a lot of people hate the remake trend that they're on, but honestly, Lilo and Stitch, I can get behind it. I want to see it. So Lilo and Stitch, one of my highly anticipated films for next year. Another one, I don't know if it still plans on coming out next year, and I don't know. We haven't really gotten any updates since it was first announced, but Kendrick Lamar and the creators of South Park were supposed to do like a musical comedy film about this guy and his girlfriend who goes to a plantation, like to visit a plantation, and they find out that her family actually used to own his family. And it's supposed to be like a musical comedy film. And y'all know I love Kendrick Lamar. Y'all know I like South Park. And I feel like Trey Stone and Matt Parker, the creators of South Park, I feel like a lot of their films are very underrated, especially the South Park movie. I always tell people that's my favorite musical of all time. So for them to work with Kendrick and, have the movie be about race, but it's gonna it sounds like it's gonna be Get Out, but if Get Out was a comedy musical. So I was highly looking forward to that. The trailer just released like literally an hour before me even recording this episode, the trailer released for the next Karate Kid movie, Karate Kid Legends. I I'm really looking forward to that. I love the Karate Kid series. Um and yeah, besides that, I'd probably say the Marvel movies, Captain America, the Thunderbolts. Like, I always go to see every Marvel movie, whether I'm that interested in it or not. I always still try to give Marvel movies a try. And yeah, those are all the movies at the top of my head. I did see a list of movies that were supposed to come out next year, but I just can't remember all of them. But either way, y'all know me. I'm a movie man. I'm going to check out as many movies as I can next year. And I'm going to try to do more than 53 next year, but we'll see. Once again, I thank you guys for checking out the podcast. I thank y'all for listening to me yap. I don't know how long this episode is going to be. Usually I record my episodes in one take, but because this is like a film ranking and I'm talking about a bunch of films, I basically just recorded each opinion and then I'm going to bring it together in my editor. But I don't know how long this episode is going to be, but for however long it is, I thank you guys for listening to me yap about films for this long. And like I said, 2025, come back to hear me talk more about films and stuff like that. And last week was my 2024 music episode, so definitely go check that out. And then next week, the final Tuesday of the year, I will be talking about 2024 in general, my overall thoughts on the year. I'm going to be talking about like the goals that I set for myself last year and seeing if I reach those goals. I'll tell y'all. I'm going to tell y'all my goals for next year. And yeah, man, it's crazy to think that 2024 like film season is pretty much over. All I know is the last movie that I'm seeing in theaters is Sonic this Thursday. So yeah, that's my last trip to the theater this year. But yeah, man, like I said, thank you guys for watching, and check out next week's video. And with all that being said, Tevin Jameer signing out.